Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. I got out of work a little earlier on this Friday because this afternoon was a convention of the CDU of Angela Merkel's party in Hamburg. And there the delegates were voting for who is gonna follow after Angela Merkel as the chairman, woman, person thing of the CDU. Now, as I told you before, the candidates were Jens Spahn, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer and Friedrich Merz. Now, I watched the thing live on television and the candidates were busy in recent weeks they traveled throughout Germany and there were regional conferences where they held speeches and they tried to convince the delegates and the CDU members of their new strategy for the party. And in a sense, this afternoon they gave refined speeches where some points of criticism that came up in recent weeks were addressed. But more or less it was the same thing. So long story short, the thumbnail already gives it away. After 2 rounds of votes, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer was elected as the new chairwoman of the CDU by only a very slim margin. I think around 52% in the second round voted for her. So I want to tell you today what happened and especially what the fundamental difference was between Friedrich Merz and Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer. So basically, what was really the alternative here for the delegates? What was the decision that the delegates made in Hamburg today? What this means for the future of the CDU and for Germany? And for the other parties also, according to my opinion at least, and from what I've read in the news in the meantime. So Angela Merkel also had an appearance today in Hamburg and she basically patted herself on the shoulder. She said that everything she did was basically great and she would do it again. She also got rounds of applause and no one really criticized her. So if you think that this was the big day of reckoning with Angela Merkel's open border policy, you are sadly mistaken. The whole CDU stands behind her and none of the delegates or of the higher-ups really finds any fault with what she did. She also didn't really make a big secret out of the fact that she wanted Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer to be the new chairwoman. On the other hand, Wolfgang Schäuble, one of the last remnants of the era Helmut Kohl, the chancellor of the German unity, decided to publicly speak out for Friedrich Merz as the next chairman. And the result in the second election, roughly 50-50, already shows you how split the CDU was apparently on those two candidates. But when all of them more or less agree with what Angela Merkel did, then that means that the differences between them can only be marginal differences, subtle differences, and not really fundamental differences. This is why everyone said today that, it's a great day and we actually want all 3 candidates to run the party because they're all so super and no matter who gets elected, there will not be a schism of any sort. But after that, everyone will be united under this one chairman and they will all work together to make the party great again. This is of course only what they spoke into the cameras during interviews. There are actually voices that are a little more critical. For example, a certain Urban Lannig from the CDU from Baden-Württemberg in the southwest, he said that the election of Merz would have been the last chance for the CDU to renew itself. Within his local district, there are already CDU members who threatened to leave the party if Merz would not be elected today. So Merz was the last chance, the only person who could have been able to still pacify these malcontents. But now everything will go on like under Angela Merkel. But first, let's look at the 2 candidates of the second round. I don't really want to talk about Jens Spahn. He got around 15% in the first election, so he's not that important actually. But let's look at Friedrich Merz first. So I talked about him in previous videos. I just want to say that he is a textbook globalist. He worked as a lawyer for the investment corporation BlackRock. He's also very active in the Atlantic Bridge, a US-German think tank or lobby organization that makes sure that the German media, German politicians, and key figures in the German industry are loyal and devout followers of US interests. And when I say US interests, I don't mean the American people. I also don't mean this president. I mean certain influential groups that predominantly live in New York. But let's ignore that for a moment because this is only reality. Let's look at what he said during his speeches today. Friedrich Merz basically advocated for opening the CDU up again for centrist or conservative or traditionalist Germans. They used to be actually the majority in the CDU, and they were exactly the people that were purged under Angela Merkel relentlessly. So now the CDU, of course you know that, is basically a mixture of the Green Party and the Social Democratic Party. There is no place for conservative people anymore in the CDU, and not just since yesterday, but for at least a decade already. So Friedrich Merz said, if we want to remain a large party, a big tent or grand party, we need to make sure that besides those liberals, those Green Party and Christian goons, there should be a home for conservative people again in the CDU, and he was not elected today. So that should tell everybody who is at least mildly conservative that he should get out of the CDU. If you think that a good education and hard work should mean that you have some kind of benefit from that for yourself in life, you're already out of the CDU. There is no home. There is no space for you. You have to be a socialist now in the CDU. You have to believe that no matter how hard you work, no matter what a great education you got, you don't deserve more than someone who doesn't go to work. And this is nothing about right-wing extremism or super reactionary conservative attitudes. No, this is just you work and you deserve a little bit of a benefit, over someone or an advantage over someone who doesn't work. This is already enough, I'm telling you. And Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, on the other hand, she was appealing a lot to emotion. She said that they must stand together now and they must carry on what Merkel started and so on. I don't really want to go into the details. She tries to make it sound as if she wanted to be a little tougher on migration, but that is just a ruse. That does not convince anybody because she is very leftist and she is a strong believer in open borders and in a growing welfare state. She also said that we need a tough state, and of course that means a well-financed, ever-growing state. So that means higher taxes and more redistribution of income to foreigners who don't work here. And the money will of course be taken from German working-class families. And this is precisely what makes the French people so angry at the moment. So what does that mean for Germany now? So first of all, for the CDU, that was a very bad outcome. The CDU could actually have gained a little bit in popularity had Friedrich Merz been elected today. But my personal opinion is, of course, or let's be blunt here, from the perspective of the AfD, that is a very good result. Because in a way, Merkel leaves, but she doesn't leave. Yeah? Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer is Merkel 2.0 or mini Merkel or however you want to call her. She is carrying on, she is continuing what Merkel has started. And because she was elected today, you can see that 3 or 2 decades ago, the CDU was infiltrated. Now it's not infiltration anymore, it's complete subversion. They turned the party around. Now it is no longer a conservative party, it is no longer a party for German citizens, it is a party for the foreigner. It is a party for leftists that is really no different from the Green Party or the Social Democratic Party. And this is actually good for the AfD, and in the next year we will have several state elections and we will see that the AfD will be established as a conservative party in Germany. the AfD will be the only party for Germans. So, to sum up, all those three candidates were not that much different. Everybody more or less agreed with what Angela Merkel did, and they were differing only in nuance. Merz and Kramp-Karrenbauer faced each other in the second round of elections, and that was a very, very close election. Only by a very, very slim margin she managed to win today, which means that Angela Merkel's course will be continued and that everybody who is at least mildly conservative should leave the CDU very fast now. It also means that especially in Eastern Germany, the AfD will be a major political force in the near future. And also for the federal level and for the entire German Federation, the AfD will stay. They will remain a very important political factor, and they will establish themselves as the party for Germans. According to my opinion, that is my outlook actually. Have a great weekend. Servus, Kameraden.